Hi, Tamal. Thanks for coming on the show again.
Thank you.
Now, this is very interesting what you cover in this week's Bankers Trust. It's very micro to the level of one bank, and then you'll go to a larger question. Now, RBL stock tanked as soon as the announcement was made, but you mentioned that the performance was not too bad of the bank. So, what is wrong with the bank? Why is stock tanking?
No, even I really don't know why the stock tank. But you think one thing is, banking is one industry where it's the banker who runs the bank. It's very important. This is globally who is the CEO, that's important. Now, in this case, probably, I'm not very sure. Probably it could happen. The gentleman who has been picked up, was actually overseeing the entire liquidation process of the HFL. So probably market thought that this gentleman has come with a mandate, and here RBI will go for liquidation, and it's the end of the road. So that's the reason. That could be the reason. Having said that, RBI definitely not a stature case, which I have said. It had its bad time, but it's not a case of fraud like, say, what happened in the Yes Bank case. RBL is a story of unbridled ambition for growth. That's what happened. It was Ratnakar Bank taken over by Bishavi Rahuja, foreign banker and his team, and they turned it around, and then they moved on a path of very high growth, and that had its own problem. It was depending on bulk deposits on the liability sides, and it was also a lot of unsecured loan on the asset side, and that had its problem, and it had been on the RBI radar for the past 2 to 3 years. So we don't know the outsiders, but the regulator kept a very close watch and had been telling the bank what to do and what not to do. RBI had been, in fact, very closely involved with RBL, and RBL was on a correction path. It puts its risk management, underwriting, right kind of thing in place, right kind of technology, withdrawing from bulk deposit, getting into more granular liabilities, so on and so forth. Still, say for instance, credit card business is 1/5 of its business. It's the largest in the industry. So that was happening. And then the drama. Vishwavi Raja was expecting another term, but he was denied the term. And then RBI put an additional director, and Vishwavi Raja left he went on leave. All these things happened. But if you look at that March 31st number, on every key ratio, they're not bad at all.
It is very interesting because we're talking about speculation. I'll take you towards a bit of more speculation from here. You weigh on the candidates also that applied for the CEO position and speculate on why one was chosen over the other. Now, RBI chose the second one instead of the first one. Can you tell us a bit about the process, how it works for our readers and viewers? And second, why go with the second choice in this time around?
That question also I have. I don't have the answer. So typically what happens is this: when there is a CEO position is vacant, the bank board creates institute a search committee, and the search committee is assisted by an external agency, which is a headhunting agency. In this case also that was the case. Search committee typically have the members of the remuneration committee of the bank, and also other board members, probably one outsider in this case also there. And then they prepare a list of 2, 3, 4 candidates, right? And then they give it to, they passed on to Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India scrutinizes it. But RBI does not get into the qualitative aspect of those people. Like, is number 2 better than number 1 or number 3 better than number 2? It doesn't. It's a sort of tick marking, fit and proper. If number 1 is fit and proper, then it's automatic that number 1 gets it. Now, this is probably a rare, if not rarest of the rare case. I know there are cases where RBI had rejected all of them. So that's a separate story for some reason. But typically, number 1 gets it. And unless this person is unfit and improper, meaning certain investigation is pending, so on and so forth. But in this case, it cannot be applicable. It is not applicable because this number 1 was heading a foreign bank, and that she recently got a 3-year extension. So which means she is not unfit and improper. then what are the issues? So RBI probably what would look at? It would look at culture, it would look at compatibility, it would look at also compensation. So one thing would be foreign bankers' compensation would have been much higher than a retired public sector bankers. I am guessing because I have not seen the recommendation of the search committee. So probably RBI felt that no, even though this compensation is in the form of ESOPs, and ESOPs you need to earn, need to perform, others you will not get it. Probably RBI felt that culturally the foreign banker is not the right person to come to this bank, while public sector bank will be fitter. But historically, we have seen that both foreign bankers and public sector bank, there are cases of failure and successes in this kind of scenario. So I'm not qualified. One thing it shows that RBI probably doesn't have the confidence in the board of on RBL Bank. Otherwise, I mean, why would you not say yes to number one?
Now, what my question stems from is, shouldn't it be the bank's decision? Because they can also decide on the fit and proper guidelines. In the case of public sector banks, also there's a bank board bureau which is deciding who gets to sit on the CEO seat or who gets to sit on the top management. Is that the right system to go ahead with? Or should you leave it to the banks?
Say, Banks Board Bureau is particularly for the public sector banks, not only bank, other public sector financial institutions as well. And trust you me, actually, that's a great thing that had happened, because earlier the way public sector bankers were chosen for the CEO's position was very different. You know, your proximity to certain industrial houses, your promise to make to certain industrial houses, your proximity to the finance ministry, and I'm not getting into all those gory details. So it was extremely opaque, non-transparent system, and Banks Board Bureau came with the transparency came at all. So certainly Banks Board Bureau is a much better choice than what was previously. And if you're talking about the public sector bank board, what is public sector bank board? It's a majority owned by the government. Yeah. So which means whatever does the Bank Board Bureau need to be restructured or approach things in a different way? So that's up to the government to do that.
Now, taking you away from this week's Bankers Trust to another important development that happened, which was the US Fed hiking rates by 75 basis points. RBI governor came out and said, we are not behind the curve. Now, recession fears are very much there. Would you still go with that forecast of the 50 basis point rate hike in the next meeting? Or do you think RBI will get more aggressive now?
Knowing the Reserve Bank of India and how it has been handling the situation, the tightrope walk, it's like a trapeze artist. It's a very fine balancing between growth and fighting inflation. Yes, the rates need to go up. Yes, Reserve Bank of India will continue to raise rates. I don't know where it will end. Is it 6% or even beyond? But I would not put it beyond 50 basis point. I mean, I'll be surprised if but the way things unfold is between now and when the MPC meet happens, still time is there. But as of now, I will stick my neck out for a 50 basis point hike, not more than that.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time this week. We hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
I am the blue of the limitless sky. I am the inspiration that led success soar high. I will achieve, I will fly high. I am the I in SBI.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.